Hello, I'm Neil Villeneuve, and I usually make videos of driving army trucks and motorcycles, but today I'm going to do something a little different. We're going to make an apple pie, and we're going to make the crust also. So what you're going to need is a fairly decent sized bowl, large enough to hold all the filling for the pie, pie plate, rolling pin, and a couple knives, a fork, and some measuring cups. For ingredients, you're going to need some sugar, flour, shortening, butter, cinnamon, salt, and of course apples. Some ice cold water. We're going to mix 2 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt. Fork to mix that up a little. We're going to mix in 3/4 cups of shortening. We don't have one of those fancy, I don't even know what it's called, pastry something or other. I guess it's called a pastry blender. It has a few wires like this and you jam it down, but we don't have one of those, so we're just going to use a couple of knives. We're just going to cut it up like this, cut it in to the flour. That looks pretty good. Just small balls like that. Next we're going to add some water, and we want that water to be ice cold. Probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 tablespoons, maybe not that much, but let's see. And we just want to sprinkle that in while we're mixing it up. So that is 2 tablespoons. If you can get these moist all the way to one side maybe. So we just want to moisten the dry spot. That's kind of lost track. I don't know if that's 3 or 4 tablespoons. But basically, I'm going to try to add least amount of water as possible. Go just a little more, maybe down. And then I'm going to form this into a ball. See, it didn't look like it was going to stick together, but it did. And I'm going to just cut this in half. This is going to be a 2-crust pie, meaning the crust on the bottom and also crust on the top. So for right now, set this aside. We're done with the water. Need a nice dry counter here. I'm gonna roll this crust out on it. So we're gonna need a little flour for that. And the rolling pin. Get some good flour on there so the dough doesn't stick. And we're gonna roll this one in. Stretch that out. Okay, so if anyone has some tips about this, leave them in the comments, because I'm definitely not a professional pastry chef. So we basically need this big enough to put in this pie plate, and it looks pretty decent. So how to get this off the counter? Let's try some help from the roller. And I'm gonna get a spatula. Okay, so yeah, it's stuck a little bit onto the counter. This will help us get it off. Okay, separated from the counter. Let's see if this roller will help us pick it up without damaging it too much. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, and then we're gonna put it over this pie plate, and then we can just take these edges off, add those where necessary to make this work. You know, pretty decent, huh? Put some more right there. Just make sure it's down into the bottom of the plate all the way around. Take off any excess around the outside. Oh, there's a piece right there. Where do I need some? Over here. Okay. We're going to take the remainder that we're saving for the top crust. So we're going to put this, some saran wrap. Put that right in there. Put this in the refrigerator. Now let's preset the oven to 425. While that's heating up, we'll work on that apple filling. 1 cup of sugar. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. 4 tablespoons of flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just a dash of salt, and we will mix that up with the fork. If you have any chunks of sugar in here like we did, just brush those up. Okay, it looks like it's mixed up pretty good. Now comes the fun part, peeling apples. You can peel your apples like this. Then what you'll want to do is make sure you get the core out. There's some, around those seeds, there's some really tough skin part. You don't want that in your pie. And then you can just cut it up. Okay, that's one way to do it. This is an apple peeler, corer, and slicer all in one. Get a little snack in. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the one I cut up with a knife is 7. These are pretty big apples. Do 8. What do you think? One more. Ultimately, that's a good apple. I think that's a lot. That's just a suction cup. Now we want to mix this filling on the apples. I'm trying to separate the apples because they stick together, you know. We want to get this over all of it. We're going to roll this one out, the top crust. Try to do this in a more even fashion. My bottom one didn't seem to come out too even, did it? I think I wouldn't get a rolling pin with these handles on it. I never use them. Need a little more flour. I'd say it's really thin right there, but when I scrape it up with the spatula, pushes it back in a little bit. And we're gonna heat this up with the apples. See that we have plenty. Guess I didn't need to do that last one, although, well, you might get it. This shrinks down. It shrinks down some when you bake it. So let's see if we can get it all in there. So what haven't we used yet? 2 tablespoons of butter. So the butter has markings on it. Teaspoons and tablespoons here. So this is 2 tablespoons right there. We're just going to take that butter and put it around on the top of this. Ooh, that's going to be good when that melts down in there. Come on. Oh, look at that. Not quite centered. Be careful, it rips, but it's not a big deal. We actually need to have some vents in it anyways. We're just gonna kind of tuck, well, that's quite a bit there, but we'll put that over here. We're gonna want to tuck this under around the edge. That's all the way around. You can just press it down with your fingers, make some ripples. This pie plate has some ripples. And you just want to cut some vent holes because when it bakes, it's going to need to let some heat out of there. Timer. 45. It's probably seconds, I don't know. Minutes. Start. Oh, timer. Perfect. And then, haha, of course, while that's baking, we got a little cleaning up to do. Pie looks done. Plus the timer's going off. Ooh, that looks good. Perfect, I would say. That was good.